You are listening to the Lingerie Success Podcast, the first podcast of its kind committed to practical and actionable marketing strategies, business advice, interviews, and tools to help your lingerie store thrive. Are you ready? So let's get started.
Hello, Lingerie Success listeners, and welcome to episode 9 of the Lingerie Success Podcast, where we provide practical, actionable advice to help your lingerie store thrive. Today, we'll be talking about content marketing for lingerie businesses, and more specifically, creating beneficial, relevant, actionable, and shareable content that leaves your competitors in the dust. And as always, I am joined here today with Kris and Angel. How are you doing today, Kris?
I'm very good. I'm in the phantom zone. I'm not in the office with you guys, so I'm not physically there, but I'm spiritually there.
Well, we are glad to have you here with us, no matter how you're here. And Angel, how are you doing today?
Doing pretty good. Trying to get this call-in technology working, aka Skype.
Oh my gosh. Well, it has definitely given us a little bit of trouble, but we now are able to record and we're in good shape. So as always, we're excited to provide you guys with some content and some valuable information here today on content marketing. And we just wanted to dive right in and talk a little bit about content marketing. So Kris, what is content marketing and what is the difference between content marketing and traditional marketing?
Well, thanks, Katie. That's a common question asked by plenty of businesses and marketers alike. The main difference is traditional marketing relies on a push marketing approach. Basically, imagine you're in a class. Back in the day when you wanted your teacher's attention, you would raise your hand, flail it if need be, just to get your name called. And if not, you will result to, saying me, 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 me. That's what traditional marketing does. And in certain instances, that's what we need to do. But content marketing is a part of an inbound marketing concept that relies on pull marketing strategies instead. Many businesses, including us and other top corporations, have jumped on this because it's all about delivering value. The idea with content marketing is, we develop thoughtful content which aims to address our business and brand story by solving problems for our target audience, as opposed to the self-promotional noise about our product or service. We all know the saying, facts tell, stories sell. And content marketing is all about telling stories that our audience can relate to through blogs, videos, audio, social media, and other types of content, like this podcast, for example. This is a part of our content marketing strategy where we're producing valuable content that aims not to push our product to our customers, but educate them on strategies and give them as much value as we can on a weekly basis. And same thing with our blog, which we produce content daily for, because stories and value keeps us at the top of the minds of our customers. Like they always say, top of mind, tip of tongue.
Absolutely, Kris. And I know that with traditional marketing, it's usually based on providing content when it's relevant for the retailer or for the brand. But with content marketing, it's providing that customized, tailored content for your customers when it works for them. So knowing when your customers are online, when they're reading their emails, what words jump out at them, what appeals to them on a blog or on a website, and really creating that content for them. And that's exactly what content marketing is. And we wanted to talk a little bit about the effectiveness of content marketing. So there are definitely some people out there, even some marketers who still doubt content marketing, who just don't believe in the ROI of it just quite yet. So we thought we would talk a little bit about this. So Kris, is content marketing more effective than traditional advertising, and why?
Well, that's a great question. In certain things, yes, but it's about combining both strategies to maximize results. The idea is we develop valuable content for our audience that we know solves, our target audience's problem. But to get attention to our content, we then use traditional media like advertising to get the content to the eyes of our target audience. We all know that the build it and they will come mentality is really ineffective and it's passive. So by combining both traditional marketing to amplify our valuable content we'll gain more traction and attention for our efforts. We ourselves use this strategy. We promote our content through traditional media like Facebook ads, boosted posts, even media buys sometimes, as well as working with, great trade press partners, for example, to generate attention to the awesome content we develop. So saying that content marketing is more effective than traditional advertising is misleading. So we should develop our inbound marketing strategy and then use certain traditional marketing to amplify our message to reach our desired audience.
Absolutely. And like Kris said, when you use your marketing, you want to make sure that you combine both content marketing and traditional marketing. So you want to make sure that you have a combination of both, and just knowing, the right forms of communication for your customers and what your customers prefer. And in the beginning, it might be more of a trial and error. You might have to test a few things out. But once you get to know your target audience really well and the type of content that they like to receive and they read and click on, then you'll be able to create that content for them that'll increase your sales and really drive business to your doors. And that's something also that we wanted to focus on today. So really looking at content marketing and what it can do for small businesses. So Kris, what would you say content marketing looks like for small businesses, for lingerie stores, for local retailers?
Yeah, well, for a boutique retailer or laundry store, I would suggest developing contents like blog and even video if they can, or even hosting a bra fitting seminar or even webinars to educate their target audience about the importance of a properly fitting bra. They should then use something like a traditional marketing, such as the everyday direct mail from the USPS, to invite these audience to a local event that they're doing, and drive them to the content that they want to educate from instead of using it just to advertise sales. Or you could use a Facebook ad or email to drive traffic to a content or their blog, where they can target their audience and solve their problems and answer their questions. I think on a previous podcast, I'm not sure if it's the last one or the previous one before that, we talked about around problems that our stores encounter or questions from the customers and develop content with those things in mind. We could even use flyers or other traditional media and leverage it to drive awareness to our website or even a YouTube channel or other contents we develop. The key here is to deliver value through content and amplification through traditional marketing. Traditional media is used to drive awareness so that they know us, they know we exist, and our content is to deliver the value so they can like us. When we deliver on the promise of solving their problems, they will then trust us. This completes the relationship cycle of know, like, and trust.
Absolutely. And Lingerie Success listeners, the women in your neighborhood, they may know that you exist. They may know that there's a lingerie store and that you do offer bra fitting, but maybe they've never felt compelled to step into your store before. And that's where marketing and content marketing comes into play. It's an outlet for you to create content for consumers who haven't stepped into your doors yet, who are ready to buy or maybe ready to purchase new lingerie, but they just don't have that feeling of wanting to visit your store just quite yet. And by creating that content online and providing that value, you're encouraging those customers to visit your store to learn more about your products, to learn from your expertise, and they'll trust that you'll solve their problems, and then they'll visit your store and they'll have those solutions. So that's why content marketing is so important. It's something that we truly, truly believe in, and that we suggest all of our retailers and all small businesses do. And it's something that you should definitely make a part of your consistent weekly marketing plan, and just being on Facebook, connecting with your customers, creating blog posts. Like Kris said in a past podcast, I believe it was podcast 7, we talked about listening to customer questions and noting them for 30 days. So taking 3 questions a day and noting them for 30 days. And then after 30 days, having 90 pieces of unique content or unique questions that you can answer. And these are questions that you can answer in a Facebook Live video. You can answer them through Instagram, Twitter, any avenue that you feel is appropriate for your customers and where your customers are. That's the perfect place to answer those questions. And of course, we always suggest a blog as well. It's something that has driven traffic for us and has helped us provide value to our customers, to our retailer partners. So having those avenues and those platforms for content marketing, you'll notice a huge difference. If not immediately, but after a few months, you'll notice a difference with the quality of leads that you're getting, with the visits, repeat visits, and the customers that are coming to your store and coming back to your store. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about incorporating content marketing. And so, Kris, what are maybe 3 ways a small business owner could incorporate content marketing into their marketing plan?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned some great stuff there. I know that content marketing, can seem like a big undertaking, but it's really about solving problems, like you mentioned. All the activities that you would record, the questions, the problems that your customers are experiencing. That's the recording of the problem, and then you're producing the content to solve those problems. Our stores could take those things, start a blog, even just microblogging that solves one question at a time on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, like you mentioned, or even on their social media platform. Maybe do a Facebook Live or just post an answer on social media. They can even develop images like infographics to drive awareness, of women wearing the wrong size bras, and then promote that content to help encourage women to get a bra fitting. There's plenty of ways that they can incorporate content marketing. The most important thing is that they do choose one thing that they're comfortable with and start doing it today. That's the key. Within a short period of time, our listeners will find that it will be paying dividends for them, and the engagement with their customers will dramatically increase. Again, the key here is to start today. You don't wait, over plan, overthink, analyzing, and then you get paralyzed. Just figure out what those questions are and start developing content and start answering them. That's how I suggest our listeners, put in content marketing as part of their marketing strategy.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to add to those good points. Like Kris said, definitely get started today. And I know with one of the things, when you're looking at your content and your content strategy, it might be a little bit intimidating at first to think about producing Facebook Live content, Instagram stories, Instagram posts, Facebook posts, Twitter posts, and then making the time to connect with your customers on social media, to like their posts, to comment and follow. And you could honestly spend hours a day on those tasks, and sometimes it's just really hard to find the time to do so. But also, before we talk about finding time for content marketing, because that's definitely a big question that our retailer partners have, I wanted just to say that when you're creating that content, as long as you're answering those questions for customers, they don't care what your blog posts look like. It doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to have a fancy layout. You don't have to hire someone to create graphics for you. A lot of those tools you can do yourself, whether they're products, pictures that you take of your store, of your products, of yourself, your staff, anything that you can use for imagery or for content to add to your already valuable information that you're providing to your customers is something that they'll be happy with. And for most people, it's more than enough. As long as they have the answer to their question, they're happy. And that's also a good place for you, on your blog post, to add your contact information maybe to the bottom, to put a call to action. So to say that you can offer them a promotion or maybe just a free fitting. And then that's something enticing that they can come in to your store, maybe subscribe to your newsletter. So that's a great way to connect with those people who are hungry for information. They're reading your blog posts. They're looking online for answers, to get them to come into your store. And then to build that trust with them, so that once they know you, then they can, really like you and then trust you, and then they'll become loyal for life. And so we did want to get into finding time for content marketing. So Kris, what are some of your suggestions for finding time? A lot of our retailers are so busy running their stores. They have families, they have social lives, they have other interests, hobbies outside of their business. So, what are some of your good tips for finding time?
Well, I strongly believe that when we're doing something that's natural to us, time becomes less of an issue. Finding the right content platform or strategy will allow us to be passionate and find the time to produce the content. I want to remind our listeners that we are in a service business more than a product. I know our retailers sell the product, but the product is the tool to solve a problem. But it's up to us to work with the customers and consult with them to find the right fitting bra to solve their issues. Within that process of consulting with our clients, content marketing should be an integral part of that process. This includes, content before the sale and also post the sale. Again, our goal is to continually provide value to our customers. Content is the main way we can use that and continue providing value. When we complete the pricing and driving sales through that, then what stops them from waiting, for the next sale before buying from us again if we're just a commodity? When we move away from being a commodity provider and act as a source of value and a solver, that would be our blue ocean and a red ocean of competitors, both online and offline, big box stores or small stores.
Absolutely. And I also wanted to add to that. So like Kris said, continually providing value is super important. And that's really the goal and the foundation of content marketing. And as long as you're providing that value, then your customers will come back for their next sale with you and they'll buy from you again. And I wanted to talk a little bit about an article that I read recently too. And this does tie in with the idea of finding time. And I'll post a link to it in the show notes. But I read it on Medium yesterday. And it was a woman talking about how she had this perfect morning routine. And she got up in the morning at 5:45 and she had this set plan where she would write, she would meditate, she would drink coffee, have a nice breakfast, and then start her day. And then she started to talk about the process behind it. And so one of the biggest reasons for her to do that is because she found that when she got married, had a family, she had less time for herself. And so her morning hours were her time. And she was prioritizing herself in the morning and making time. And one thing that she said that made that routine possible every morning, to get up at 5:45 to have that specific routine, was that she prioritized it. It was something that was so important to her that she had that as the reason for getting up every morning and getting out of bed and just doing that routine. For a lot of our retailer partners, it's hard to find time for content marketing. And the best thing that you can do for yourself and for your store and for your customers is to really, really make it a priority and part of your everyday. And that could mean taking a couple hours every day, the same time, and doing the same things. And maybe that's a time where you're going on Facebook, where you're going and you're developing newsletters, where you're checking in with customers, you're calling your customers to come back in to shop new products. So making that time to create tailored content and reach out to your customers is so important. And it'll put you a step above all of your competitors, because customers love when you're reaching out to them, you're connecting with them, you're showing that you're genuinely interested in providing personal value. And by prioritizing it and making a part of your everyday, it'll be so much easier to do every day. And we also wanted to share some guidance. So Kris, what are maybe 3 parting pieces of guidance that you could share with our listeners today?
Well, I did a review of a powerful content marketing book back in January on our Lingerie Success blog, which we'll include a link on the show notes for. It was a book from content marketing godfather Joe Paluzzi. I strongly suggest our listeners to review that and maybe suggest picking up the book itself. They really need to understand that the audience is very, very important, and the problems that we can solve for them is equally important. And then develop the solution contents to provide maximum value for the listeners. And then finally, find a content marketing strategy that works for you, the listeners, whether it's blogging, video, social media, microblogging, or even podcasting, or even doing live education events for profiting. The key here is to do it consistently. Effective content marketing strategy is not only about producing the content, but also expertly crafting the right type of content and then strategically amplifying it with traditional marketing for the audience to actually receive that message for us. And let's not forget accurately tracking what content are effective, and then you just rinse and repeat this process over and over to drive massive traffic to your content, to your business, to your website, or to your social media.
Absolutely. Those are all really, really good points for our lingerie listeners. And I know in a recent article as well, we talked about some great tools that you can use to track your marketing efforts. So we'll go ahead and we'll also provide a link to that in the show notes for you guys too. It's definitely worth checking out. Because as Kris mentions, it's so important to track your goals and what you're doing and your efforts and see exactly if your content is converting and if it's something that your customers are actually interested in and if you're attracting the right audience, because you might have a specific target audience in mind, but maybe you're finding that you're attracting a whole new audience. So it's definitely a good idea to track as well. And we did have some homework for you guys as well. We would love for you to create 3 new pieces of content marketing each week for 1 month. So after a month, review your stats. You can use Facebook Insights if you're on Facebook. You could use Google Analytics. And then just see if you're noticing maybe more engagement on Facebook. Maybe you have a higher click-through rate. Maybe you're noticing that your bounce rate is low or people are viewing a lot of your pages. So that's definitely worth noting and tracking. And then as we always mention, with content marketing, it does take time. So after a month, you might not notice anything substantial, but after 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, you'll start to really see your content marketing efforts pay off, and it'll be worth it. It definitely always is. And then also, our second piece of content is to review the statistics for your email newsletters. So check and see what your open rate is, what your click rate is. Look at it objectively and see if maybe your newsletters could be improved or if there's something that you could do, something that you could add that would really appeal to your customers. And then also see if maybe it's a time to revisit your buyer personas and USPs. So maybe the email newsletters that you're sending aren't exactly your ideal pieces of content, but it's sometimes a good idea to go back and see if maybe there's something that you can change so that you're effectively communicating your message. And then we also have a question of the day for you all. Our question is, which trade shows will you be attending this year? So Curve is coming up and we're excited, and we would love to know if you guys will be going to Curve and the other trade shows that you'll be going to this year.
Thank you, Katie. Well, I would like to invite all our listeners to please visit lingeriesuccess.com to access more episodes, articles, and tips. And I also encourage them to join the community on Facebook. Just search for Lingerie Success Group to connect with us and connect with other lingerie store owners and share ideas, tips, and strategies to help stores thrive. We'll link to this on our show notes. Please do also share, subscribe, leave a rating and review. We always appreciate the positive feedback, which helps continually provide impactful content that we hope you'll find valuable.
Thank you so much, Kris, and thank you to everyone listening and to Kris and Angel for joining us this week, and we will see you next week.
Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful week.
Thank you, guys.
This podcast is brought to you by Parfait. For more information, show notes, and downloads, please go to www.lingeriesuccess.com.